Part of the challenge of managing your network is that you're running blind. Let's face it, you can't actually see data traveling on a wire. But WatchGuard has lots of great visual tools that show you exactly what's happening on your network. In this video, I'll show you 5 of them. In the next few minutes, we'll look at Firebox System Manager, Bandwidth Meter, Service Watch, Traffic Monitor, and Host Watch. All these tools come standard in WatchGuard System Manager, so they don't cost any extra, and they're always available from your management server. You'll really like how much a glance can tell you, so stick around. Firebox System Manager shows you activity on your Firebox in real time. You can see information such as how much data is flowing among the various interfaces of the firewall, how heavy the traffic load is, the status of your VPN tunnels, and plenty more. Let's take a look. This is Firebox System Manager's front panel, and basically it shows the health of your network. This diagram represents the various firewall interfaces. Here we see traffic flowing from the trusted segment, known as Ethernet 1, to the external segment called Ethernet 0. Below, we have these meters labeled traffic and load. They show how hard the box is working. If they go red and stay red, it means the firewall is being used very heavily, and packets could get dropped. This detail window displays statistics such as the last time your firewall is rebooted, the last time you updated your software, and more. But let's move on to the more interesting right-hand pane here, where you can get a snapshot of great info for troubleshooting. It tells you what the IP address is of Ethernet 0, what its MAC address is, how much data is being sent, and more. I like to watch this area for warnings. In this example, the system is warning you that the antivirus signatures are out of date. In this example from another network, the front panel shows that a branch office VPN tunnel that was operational now is not. All that info in just a glance. As you've seen, the front panel displays a great overview of the state of your network. It offers even more than what we're showing you here. Feel free to click around and check it out for yourself. You're paying good money for your internet connection, but how much of it are you actually using? You can find out with Bandwidth Meter. In the grid that Bandwidth Meter displays, the top represents your maximum bandwidth. To set the scale of the grid so it's accurate for your network, right-click and select the type of connection you have. For example, if you have a T1, you can choose T1. The network you're seeing here is a little faster, so the scale is set to 20 megabits. These different colored lines tell you how much data you're sending and receiving. Everything here is configurable, so you can color code these lines in any way that works for you, and you can customize the meter to show or hide as many of these lines as you want. For example, I just want to see my trusted and external interfaces, so I'll hide all the optional ones just like that. Bandwidth Meter shows you average use over time. If your average consistently runs up here, you should consider purchasing greater bandwidth. If your average runs low, you're probably okay, assuming any spikes in the traffic are brief. This dark blue line represents the bandwidth you're receiving. If it never gets to the top of the scale, even when you try to saturate it, you might want to verify that your ISP is actually providing all the bandwidth you've paid for. Or, if your network is running slowly, Bandwidth Meter is one way to verify or eliminate bandwidth issues as the cause. So take a minute to get familiar with this tool, assuming you have the bandwidth. Service Watch shows how much traffic is flowing through your various firewall rules, or as we call them, firewall policies. Where Bandwidth Meter shows you the overall usage of bandwidth, Service Watch shows bandwidth usage by the type of activity. Here's what I mean. Right now, this example of Service Watch shows the number of connections each policy is handling. Based on the colors, which of course you can configure, I see that most of the connections on this network right now are HTTP. That's pretty typical on this network. You can also view Service Watch by bandwidth. So, now I can see that there's a spike in traffic here, and it's 12,000 kilobits per second, or 12 megabits. Whether that's good or bad depends on your network, but at least it's transient. Most of the time, you'd only grow concerned if the spike sustained itself. In contrast, here's what's going on with DNS right now. a mere 7 kilobits. So, as you can see, viewing Service Watch makes it very easy to see traffic and pick out anomalies. Service Watch can also help you spot activities such as illicit use of FTP. But most often, you'll check it for a good overall picture of what activities use the most network bandwidth day by day. Now we come to the number one troubleshooting and diagnostic tool that the Firebox users love: Traffic Monitor. Traffic Monitor essentially shows your network traffic scrolling past in real time. Red equals denied and green equals allow. So already you've got a sense of what's going on overall. Let's take a closer look. Each entry in Traffic Monitor contains similar fields. First is the date stamp. Next, the log says whether the traffic was allowed to pass through the firewall or was denied. The white numbers are the source address of the traffic, then, in yellow, the destination address. The next field indicates what protocol it uses if it's known. In this particular case, it's HTTP, which uses TCP packets. The next two fields show the source port the client used for this communication and the destination port they're trying to reach. If you don't know what the port numbers mean, you can visit a site such as Internet Storm Center to look it up. The URL is there on the screen. Moving on, the next column tells which firewall interfaces the packet is traveling through. In this case, it's going from interface 1, trusted, to interface 0, external. Have you noticed yet that white indicates source and yellow indicates destination? The section in parentheses tells you which rule is allowing or denying this traffic. The rest of the information displayed will vary based on what type of traffic we're dealing with. So, in this entry, we saw someone at this IP address start surfing the web. Once you learn how to read a traffic monitor line, you can turn here to solve loads of issues. If someone calls your help desk saying, "I'm trying to go to a website and it won't display," or "I get an error message," you can look at Traffic Monitor and see right away that they're trying to access a site that your policies declare unacceptable. Or, let's say your policy forbids IRC chat, which runs on port 6667. If one of your users fires up an illicit chat client, you'll see here that the Firebox is denying port 6667, outbound. Their activity is stopped and you know who is trying what. You'll really like this. If you see something happening you don't like, you can right-click on the Traffic Monitor entry that is making you unhappy. Then you can copy the source or destination address for further investigation. Or you can ping it, or you can traceroute it. You can even add it to the block site list right from here. Very cool stuff. Any time you spend getting to know Traffic Monitor will be repaid with increased insight and empowerment. This is just one more way your Firebox helps you feel your network's pulse. Bandwidth Meter, Service Watch, and Traffic Monitor are all tabs you'd find in the Firebox System Manager, or FSM. For our final tool, we'll leave FSM and back out to WatchGuard System Manager. Here you'll find one of our most popular visual tools, HostWatch. To access HostWatch, simply click its icon. When it opens, you'll have a visual display of where your users are going. You'll see both what they're connecting to and how many connections each user has. This side shows all your internal IP addresses. Double-click one and you'll see all that person's connections, including port numbers. Oops, looks like this guy feels that browsing bettingsports.com is appropriate at work. You could tell this customer doesn't use web blocker. I'm going to right-click and add Betting Sports IP to the block site list. That breaks the connection, so maybe that slacker will get back to work. Yeah, right. This technique works both for inbound and outbound traffic. A lot of administrators like HostWatch so much that they leave it running on their management station all day. You can see why. It's an easy way to get an instant overview of what your users are up to. So, to sum up our quick tour of some of WatchGuard's visual tools, if you're troubleshooting a network problem, especially if it relates to connections to and from the internet, fire up Firebox System Manager and HostWatch and see what's up. These 5 tools are just some of what we've provided to help you manage your network infrastructure and your security posture. With Firebox X, when you need to solve a network security problem, think inside the box. I'm Pete Adams. Thanks for watching.